Hello, Soul Spiralers. Welcome back to today's episode. Today, I have the beautiful Loretta Cararro joining me. Loretta is the creator of Nourished Energy, and she combines her unique expertise and experience as a multidimensional healer, coach, and intuitive. And she helps her clients and students experience high-level activations as she channels wisdom, accesses knowledges, and grounds them into a strategic and powerful method of facilitation. She works in the field of Reiki and energy healing, and she loves crystals just like me. So I'm very excited to have Loretta join me. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really, really excited to be here. And yes, I can't wait to talk about all the things.
Yeah, totally. We were just reflecting on how we both connected through the experience of when I worked at Crystal Universe and Loretta was starting a business, and all the funky crystals that we would find that maybe weren't so normal. So I feel like that's the energy of this conversation.
What they're not so normal.
Not so yeah, totally. Let's be not so normal today.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yes.
So I'm going to kick it off with a question that I ask everyone. How do you expand and nourish your soul, Loretta?
Gosh, I love this question. That's so beautiful. Even just to take the time to reflect on that. Expand and nourish my soul. I think that the way that I like to do that is first and foremost is living a life of intention. And I think that's really important, because I've realized over time that whenever I am doing things that don't really feel aligned in the moment, and I'm saying that because I feel like I'm constantly changing, like my desires are constantly changing, and the way that I want to live, what feels authentic to me is constantly changing. So living with intention allows me to really check in regularly and to slow down and really see and feel what feels good for my soul. And so sometimes that is doing different practices. Sometimes it's just asking for what I need. Sometimes it's being with myself, and sometimes it's being with others. And I feel like ultimately it's about me having the freedom and acceptance to just allow myself to follow my desires, my soul's desires. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that answer. Don't tell anyone else, but I think that's probably one of my favorite answers. Just because I really resonate with that, that real intentionality in what you do, I think changes your whole experience always. And also especially as a feminine being, I'm sure masculine beings experience this too, but we're so changeable and so flexible and adaptable of what we need and what we require, and it's not always the exact same thing. So having that connection with self and the intention of that connection with self to check in and be what do I really need today, or what do I really need to nourish and expand my soul, that just speaks so true to me.
I love that you talked about being a feminine being, because even at the moment, I'm on day 2 of my bleed, and it's oh my God, that's so different to how I'm going to be in a week, right?
Yeah.
And how I'm going to be again in another 3 weeks, or 3 weeks and 1 day. And that, so it's just, and even tonight I'm going to feel different as well. So it's always constantly checking in and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to do so and change it up.
Totally. Yeah. We don't have to be the same all the time. And we don't have to put that pressure on ourselves to be the same all the time.
Yes.
So we were going to talk about this beforehand, but I want to know what crystals you have with you in front of you today, Loretta, and I'll tell you what I have with me.
Show me yours and I'll show you mine. I have Mangano calcite.
Oh, beautiful.
How sparkly she is.
Oh, I don't know. Gosh. It's just audio for the people listening, but it is a very sparkly Mangano. I love Mangano calcite. Oh my gosh, what a good pick.
Yeah.
So heart frequency.
So beautiful. I have Shutterkite.
Ooh, yes. I don't have any of that.
I actually went to can I tell you a story?
Please. Yeah.
So I went to a crystal shop. It wasn't Crystal Universe, it was a different one in Melbourne. And this was like about maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I went in there and I was getting some other crystals and I was just paying at the counter. And I looked down, like I felt something tugging me, like,
mm-hmm.
and I looked and I saw this Shutterkite and I was like, the fuck? What is, oh, can I swear on this?
Yeah,
Is that all right?
yeah.
Yeah. What is that? What are you? Like it was just like towards me. And I picked it up and I was like, excuse me, what is this? And the lady told me it was Shutterkite. And I was like, what is that? I've never even heard of that. And I put it down because the price was ridiculous. So I was like, yeah, I can't afford that. I'm not walking out with this, but I remembered it forever. So I was always then on the lookout for another Shutterkite, or when I had, the funds and ability to be able to purchase it. And I remember the next time I came into contact was this one, and I was like, yes, okay, I'm finally. Yeah, so really beautiful, really, really beautiful. I don't feel like I use it very often with clients, to be honest. I feel like this one's more for me.
I have some that are just for me and some you
use it here. And the last one is selenite, but this is
it's a really clear selenite, like a slab kind of style. Beautiful. Oh
yeah. So they're mine. What about you?
I have this tiger eye, like tumbled stone, which I don't know, I just love the shape of it. It's in like a diamond.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. And I was like a bit lethargic this morning, and I was like kind of rushing around. I was like, hey, I just need something to just like be in my center. And that was like there. And it's funny what you speak about this story about Shutterkite, because I had this exact kind of similar experience with the crystal that I have with me, which is Black Moonstone. I found it, it's a recent purchase, but I was at this like crystal show, and this one piece, it was like magnetized me so much that the guy that was working there was like, I would have been so surprised if you didn't buy that kind of thing. Because it was like, and I looked it up, and it's all about supporting like the feminine, especially through like a rites of passage with like pregnancy and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. So I bought two. So I just have the palm stone in front of me, but I have a tower as well, which I'm going to put on my birth altar.
That is so beautiful. Yeah. I love that. I actually have a Black Moonstone dildo.
Wand.
Wand. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I haven't like seen it that much before. It hasn't like stood out to me, but it's like when I guess a purple and like black and like orange like flecks through it. So I don't know, it looks like Mars to me, which is interesting.
They're really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's that almost like that deep, the depth of the feminine energy, that dark,
that voidy kind of energy,
and so beautiful.
Yeah, totally, all that mystery. So I want to know how you got into crystals, and even I don't know if it goes in hand with working with Reiki, but would you be open to sharing a little bit about how this became such like a passion of yours in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't remember a time I wasn't into crystals, because I was playing with them when I was little. Like I loved them. And I was just really fortunate. Like my mum had them around, not much, but I just had them around the house. And she would give me crystals sometimes, like for different events or experience, things like that. She would give them to me sometimes. And then I just remember when I get pocket money and stuff, and I go to, those creepy, like old shops. Do you remember those? Like the
dungeony ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And they, it just was all dusty and dark and stuff. And so, I used to go to those and hang out and buy crystals and tarot cards and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I was just always interested in that. So that's kind of where my money went when I was little.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I love it.
yeah. And so I just feel like I was always interested in them. It's really funny, like, so I was interested in all the metaphysical, and I've just always been fascinated also by spirituality in general, like religions, the fact that people have faith in something, like just I find it all really, really fascinating. And I kind of stepped away from all of the mystical and mythical when I was going in like my later teens and 20s and stuff. But the interesting thing was that, so I moved overseas when I was like 21, and I was in a really dark time in my life. I was quite depressed, had anxiety, bulimia, and I was going to escape. I was really leaving the country to just escape from all of that and who I was. And I still brought my crystals with me. Even when I moved away, like they were always with me. So I feel like they're like the one thing that's always really been a part of me and a part of who I am. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like they're like an anchor for you. And I'm sure that they felt like an anchor in your bag if you went traveling with lots of crystals in your bag. That was me when I went on my trip for 5 months. I was like, okay, how am I going to carry all the crystals I want to take that is going to like be so heavy? We'll just have to let go of some of the books and just download things on my phone.
Not the crystals, right? You can't
Priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, when did you find Reiki?
I found Reiki in 2009.
Yeah.
So I'd kind of gotten to this point, maybe mid to late 20s, where I was like, just really had enough of who I was and how my life was and that sort of stuff. And I knew there was more. I knew I was worthy of more. I just didn't know how to get out of it. I felt really stuck in my life. And so I was seeking all the things. I started with Western style therapy and different sorts of therapies, going to different doctors and all sorts of things like that. And then I got into mindfulness to begin with, and then meditation. And then I got really into like going to this Buddhist center and doing meditations there, and the love and kindness meditations really hooked me in. Like, I love love. I absolutely love love. I think love is the most grandest thing and most amazing thing. And I love being alive. So I get to experience love. It's so incredible. And that just kind of, I think it sparked my interest. And when I was on my search and looking for all the things, I found an energy healer who is my teacher, one of my teachers of Reiki. And that's when I started to go see her. And I didn't know what we were doing. She was a kinesiologist and a Reiki practitioner. And we were just doing lots of different energy work. And she would bring in all these weird types of stuff that I'd never heard of, never experienced, all these different frequency machines and playing with all the things. And I just loved it. I just knew that I was meant to be in this world, and I couldn't get enough. I used to go and see her every fortnight for like 2 years. And then it wasn't until, it's actually really hilarious, but it wasn't until I met my now husband, and he didn't sleep very well. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to learn Reiki so that I can help him sleep. So I thought that's was a great reason to learn Reiki. And I realized very quickly that Reiki is first and foremost a self-healing tool. Yeah. But learning helped me understand, like, okay, this is what our sessions are about, and this is what I'm actually working through and doing, and understand energy more, and all the things, all the amazing things. And then I understood crystals more as well. And I get really obsessive and start researching things. I like get a PhD on, everything when I get really into it. So that's kind of what happened when I went down the Reiki and crystal path, and I just couldn't get enough, and I still can't get enough. I still love doing courses and learning, and I just feel like there's so much to learn, and there is, right? I mean, there's so much to learn about things that have been around since ancient times, and yeah, I love that, and I love reconnecting to these parts of my soul, these parts that I know have lived and breathed all of this before, and I feel like I'm just reinvigorating it all and reconnecting, and then I love being able to share it. So it wasn't until I did my level 2, so I did level 1 in 2011. I did my level 2, which is the practitioner level, in 2014 when I was pregnant, actually, with my first daughter. And it wasn't until I did that, I felt like I walked out of that room and I was like, why isn't everyone learning Reiki? Like, what's wrong with you people? Like, this is amazing. And so I knew from that day, I was like, I don't know how, but I need to share this with the world. Like, this is something else. This is a gift. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love hearing the journey, and I know I see you as such like a love-filled being. So I definitely think that you emit that frequency, and it's also really nice for you to share how you found like some method to like the madness in a way of what was happening in your sessions. You're like, I don't know what's going on, and then all of a sudden it just clicks in and you understand it when you've had that teaching come through. And I think that would probably come across so beautifully in the way that you teach others, that it's just like this really fun, love-filled experience of like curiosity. And, we totally keep learning, because otherwise you get stagnant. Like, and I don't want to be a stagnant practitioner. I'm sure you feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we have to keep learning, because we're evolving and we have to keep meeting that, right? We have to keep changing with it.
Yeah. It's funny, when we first got on the call, it's like, maybe we haven't changed at all since I first met you in like 2018 or whenever it was, 2017. But actually, we're constantly evolving, but the essence is still the same. And the passions generally, if you've been doing the passionate work, then they'll be similar. But I met you when I was working at Crystal Universe, and I was reflecting to Loretta before this that she would come in and like, she wouldn't just be into the normal crystals like rose quartz, and it would always be like a little bit more of the different stuff, like, oh, do you have any Vesuvianite, or do you have the Mangano calcite? And people like things that people don't like commonly like know exactly what they are. And I feel like you and I would go on like a little exploration to like go and find those things like in the mineral room. Like, not many people love the mineral room, but I remember you going in the mineral room a lot, which is more specimen type pieces.
I love it. When I walk into those sorts of galleries and things like that, wherever I am, and Crystal Universe has an incredible mineral room. I find it so incredible, because it's usually, I mean, that's an opportunity for us to really stand in Mother Nature's like the awe and wonder, right? You're just in there going, I can't believe you created this. Like, it's so it's so beautiful. And then you realize, I think it also helps us realize just how incredible we are as well, if we too are these creations of Mother Earth. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that crystal's such a good reminder of how perfectly we are as well. When we see their perfection and in the craziness of how they look sometimes as well, it's like, that's just like a human. Like a human that I'm creating right now. What is that going to come out? What crystal is that going to come out looking like?
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Yes. It's just such an incredible time you're going through, and I love that. And just even hearing you say, like, talking about that, it's like the trust in, it's just all, bubbling the way that it needs to, all cooking the way that it needs to.
Oh yeah. And sometimes you think you've like, it's cooked too much, and you're like, oh, and it's boiling, and you're like, wait, no, actually it's okay, I can turn the heat down. That's like the emotional ride of pregnancy, I feel.
So many emotions. So many emotions.
What I wanted to ask you as well, like I found that I like working at Crystal Universe for the long term was not really like a very sustainable practice for me because and then even after I went away and then came back and I worked at a different crystal shop, it wasn't as bad. But like crystals are so chatty and they're so like talkative in like it's like a noise is happening like in the back of my head. I want to know if this happens to you too. And especially in somewhere like Crystal Universe where there's like so many different specimens and so much new stuff coming in all the time. I just like would spend all my money on crystals because it was just take me home. And I'd be like, why am I like got this pile of stuff on my desk? Like, do I need any of these things? So it's much more precious for me to be intentional when I go crystal shopping now rather than working there and being like, oh my gosh, you see so much stuff that's like calling to you. Have you had that experience as well?
Oh my God. Always. It's really hard. And I think, okay, here's my tip for anyone who feels the same. If you can, write yourself a shopping list before you go.
Yeah.
So you can try to stick to that. But also, I think it's really important to be somewhat centered and grounded when you're going in because let's say you are charged in some way, like that is totally going to come out. I feel like crystals kind of attract us when we're charged and it's like, oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. Like they also know that you need them. Like you need each other, right? So it's like, so the more centered and grounded you can be before you are even going in there and just setting that intention as well. It's like, I'm going to stay focused and yeah. It's hard though. It's really hard. And I can imagine that's so much easier to do when you are shopping, but and if you can put a time limit on yourself, I find like if I would go, and stay all afternoon, forget it. Like it was just a disaster. But if I had like a time limit, like I'm just going for 1 hour, like that is it.
You go like an hour and a half before they shut. So you like your time limit cannot be exceeded.
Good. That is a really good tip. Yeah. No, it is really hard. They are because I feel like they want to help you, they want to connect with you and they want to, and I mean, they don't understand stuff like, oh, I've got to pay for that, or you know what I mean?
They're like, I'm a rock, I want to come with you.
Yeah, it's not for them, it's not about that. Like they're just connecting with you. Yeah. It's really beautiful. I feel like that's an indication that the shop has a really good energy too, to be honest.
Definitely. Yeah, I was thinking of that when you said like the old dungeony kind of vibes, like where some sage has not really been burned in there and some like just a spray and wipe could help the situation. It's like the cleanliness of the space is so important, especially when there's that many products in the one thing. When I would notice some people come in and they get so overwhelmed before we like it was like I had a different boss at the very beginning and she was kind of coming in at that time. It was very chaotic in there. And it was because everything was like on top of each other rather than having its own sections. And I think that made the energy jumbled. And so it was great that she was so specific about like, this stuff needs to be with this stuff and like really categorize because it cleans the energy up rather than having like, all these different energies in the one little 30 centimeter square. And then you're like, no wonder you get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip if you've got a lot of crystals at home as well. It can be the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've got lots of crystals in one kind of container or something like that, or on display, but I think being mindful of that as well, that some energies just don't gel or they compromise each other, or it can be like a battle, and then it can feel noisy. I think you're not really sure what they're trying to say or what's going on there, and
do you organize like in some of my spaces? Like I organize my crystals like in chakra kind of like order, and I find that creates like more flow or continuity of energy. Are you the same?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can have lots together, but it's the rainbow kind of happening.
Yeah, it looks, I mean, aesthetically pleasing on the eye as well, but it's so much better. It's definitely like the crystals that I'm using for work and things like that, to having them all. I think that is really important. I need to be able to hear what is needed for what particular ailment or symptom or whatever, what's going on. Yeah. To have like them all jumbled up, I'm like, like
and I want to know how you like arrange crystals in your house. Like, do you like put certain ones like in your windowsill? Do you put certain ones like on your table, like on your bedside? Like, how do you like navigate that? I'm always curious.
Yeah, I've got them everywhere.
Same.
all over the house. But really it's about, coming back to intention. So just thinking even about my front door. So my intention when somebody walks into my house is that I want them to feel like, almost like they've opened up this
the love frequency.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels really light and warm, and they want to be in that place, not like, oh, this feels really dark and dingy or something like that. So having crystals that are supporting that, but also ones that are going to help protect that energy and make sure that energy is maintained as well, because there's a lot of comings and goings from the front door, even if it's just the people who live in there, they're still, we have different energy and different frequencies throughout the day, right? So again, it's a lot of stuff being passed by. So there's quite a bit of selenite around and there's obsidian. I've got a lot of rose quartz, apophyllite. And I think that's it at the front and the front door. And then like throughout the house, again, it's like, that's just an example of like the intentions that I want to set. And same with, by the bed, and even my girls, I let them choose crystals that they want to keep on by their bed as well. And I might influence them a little bit because I'll know, but generally they're pretty good. Like, they don't usually pick stuff that I know is going to be really super high or super high energy and stuff, so it can help them sleep calmly and things like that.
I love that reminder of like intentionality, because you can like go in like a crystal book and it's like, you should have like citrine in the back left corner of your house for wealth, but like, is that taking away like that empowerment experience of like intentionally, like, what do you want this space of your house to be like, and what feels most true and right for you, even though I'm sure there's lots of beautiful information that's been passed down for years and years. And not to be said, like, I think I've had citrine in the back left corner of my house for years anyway for wealth, but it's that reminder of like, and obviously like at the moment, like my house here, I'm in living like a shed, as you can probably see on like my screen, which we're kind of like slowly renovating to be a bit more comfortable, but it's pretty comfy. But we kind of, our front door like goes right onto our dining table. So I don't really have a space to like create an entryway for like crystals and things like that. So it's just setting it up in different ways. You can also see like this like wall of my house as soon as you walk in. So it's like maybe my stuff's like on that bookshelf behind me there, which would still be like seen as you walk in the door. But it's what's right for the space, depending on what is happening. But
I think it's having a balance, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, having a balance of, and not being so in your head about sticking to some kind of formula or process, because when we do that, that's when we take away our own inner wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
You disconnect from what you actually really need, or what your family need, or what your house needs.
And then your kids come in and move things around anyway, and then they probably end up where they're meant to be or otherwise lost.
Exactly.
That's what I'm like, okay, I'm just already looking, okay, what's everything down low is not going to be down low for too much longer. I wanted to also, obviously you spoke to me the other day about when you found out I was pregnant, and you were talking about Reiki, and obviously I love hearing that you did your Reiki too during your pregnancy. How have you found, I know you've been working with some clients that have been studying Reiki with you through their pregnancies to be able to help them through their birthing experience and even their labor experience. How does that work, and what does that look like? And are there also crystals involved?
Yeah. Yes, there are crystals involved. Yeah, really, it's so beautiful, actually. I think for different reasons. So firstly, um, I think on a very basic level, understanding energy is so important, and understanding how you are energy, how you're connected to everything, because everything is energy. I mean, just these fundamental basics. And I know sometimes we read them, or you might, listen to a podcast or whatever, and like hear about that. And you're like, oh, yeah, I understand that. Like on an intellectual level, you understand it. Even on a quantum physics level, maybe you've heard it at, school or something like that. But when you learn a practice, any practice, and you learn to really embody that concept that I am energy, like when you feel as an energetic being moving past the physical, and you get to that point where you're like, whoa, I actually reached a space where I was the universe. Like that is, I think that's really important for everyone to experience at some point in their life. And then being able to practice doing that frequently is really important. And so when you've got those basic practices in place, you can really start to understand how the universe works through you, and how you can be in control, and how you can be a part of, not just in terms of I'm in control as a separate being, but I am in control because I am so connected. So we're all in control, like everything's in control of this situation. And if I can learn to really focus in on that and work with that, then I can shape this whole experience. And so when we are, as when we're pregnant, I think we feel, quite many women do, not everybody, but I'm just also speaking from experience and a lot of friends, family, a lot of women feel disempowered because especially in the first time, you're like going into this world that is completely unknown, like, oh my God, I'm, and you become part of a system, a medical system. And so there's a lot of fear around that. I mean, there's fear around lots of different stuff, but there's fear around having a baby because there's risk involved. Like with anything, there's risk involved, but the risk is really quite low, right? Especially in our society, like the risk is really quite low. And women birth all day, every day. They've been doing it for many, many, many years. And not just human women, right? Like also animals do it all the time. Like it's a very, very natural thing to do. And I think the idea of creation and birth, and this idea that you have been able to conceive with someone else, you've been able to conceive this being, and you're holding that in your womb. Like it's incredible. And your body just knows what to do, right?
Yeah.
It didn't need a doctor to give it some step-by-step instructions. Like it just knew what to do. It knew how to grow this baby, how to conceive. And it knows how to birth as well. It just knows how to do that. But when you are disconnected from your body, and you are disconnected from your energy body, your subtle body, and I think this is what I love about Reiki in particular, is because it doesn't disconnect you from your physical body, because as much as we're spiritual beings, we're also physical. And I think a lot of people, when they start on a journey of spirituality, can disconnect from that. And it's so important for us to stay connected to our body. Like the human experience is very, very sacred and special. And it's not something that I don't know why you want to disconnect from that so much, you know, so often. It's fun sometimes, don't get me wrong. It's super fun to disconnect, but it's also beautiful to connect with your body and to be in a place where you are energetically being able to notice and feel that your body is, again, an expression of the universe, and that your baby is so connected to you. Like you're just one in this moment. You are holding and homing this incredible being. And it's super empowering to be able to feel all these things and connect to the baby in that way. Things like, oh my God, the baby's not moving, or I'm not sure if things are going okay, or I'm anxious about birth, or I'm anxious about, you know, is it okay if I eat this cheese? Like all the things. I felt like being pregnant and having a frequent practice where you are connecting to your baby and to your body and to your inner wisdom, you are really able to then feel that power and be empowered to making those decisions for yourself. Because it doesn't stop there, right? Like after you have a baby, you're still going to be told this is how you should be parenting, this is how you should be bringing up your children, this is what you should be doing, saying, thinking, you know, all the things. And again, where we don't know those things, like we're not taught how to do it, but we know it innately. And having some sort of practice that reconnects us to that inner wisdom and that energy that we are, it's so powerful. It's incredibly empowering. And it absolutely helped. It helped me through birth. So I had 2 home births, no drugs, just completely feeling my body and my baby. And I birthed with them both. Like both my daughters were, you know, I felt them energetically and physically. And I can see that, you know, I can see my clients how the level of trust that increases and is amplified. Like, you know, I 2 of them in particular recently that have been doing their Reiki mastership with me, they both had babies, both natural births, which was beautiful. Not, you know, not saying that not having natural birth isn't beautiful either. They're all beautiful and it's all perfect always. But I think they were both really wanting to have natural births as well. So that is important. I think when there is a desire there that you really want something in a certain way, and having that connection to really feel into what is happening with the baby at what time, because the world and all the noise is going to tell you so many things, but it's so powerful to be able to get to that center, get to that place where you really truly believe that everything's going to be okay and that you are so supported and you're trusted. And that's throughout the pregnancy, right? You'll have moments of like, oh my God, how do I know everything's going to be okay? Because we want to know that, right? The whole time you're like, oh, I want to know they're okay. I want to know the baby's okay. I mean, that's, I think, what we just continuously ask as a parent as well. But yeah, it's so nice to have this really, truly connected experience. Because when you're there as well, I you know, I think it's important to recognize that sometimes things aren't okay, but at least when you're coming from this really centered space, you can tell the difference between this isn't really like this is okay, or okay, this is not okay.
Yeah. No, I really, that's such a beautiful expression of sharing that there, like brought up so many different things for me. And I think I'm not sure if you know that I'm planning to have, obviously I'm having a home birth and I don't know you know that, but I'm planning to have a free birth. So like non-medical assisted, and I haven't done anything medical through my experience. And that in itself can be quite isolating because the people I meet are generally not doing things in that way. Though I did meet someone yesterday that's like on the same path as me, which was really nice. She doesn't live that far away from me either. And yeah, it's like that space of, if you think people are opinionated about other things in your life, wait till you get pregnant because everyone has a very strong opinion about everything when you're pregnant. Like everyone's an expert. Everyone's an expert on your body, like on whatever it is. And, you know, and it is that, that real focus on like rights of protection rather than like rights of like trusting that the mother will know like what to do. Because like even if I did absolutely nothing, like my body would still birth, like, or try to, you know, like, and my baby would still be doing that too. Like even if I was like so disconnected, there would still be that experience happening. So that in itself, like, yeah, I think that the amount of intervention is questionable at this point in time. Especially like I read that book, Childbirth is a Rite of Passage by Rachel Reed. It's a recent book, but it's like so researched on the medical system and intervention and why things occur and how they occur. And maybe it's not always the best way things to occur, because then one intervention occurs and generally another one occurs, and then there needs to be more and more intervention, I guess, in a way. Not for everyone, but yeah, that reminder of like trust definitely is good, because when I was like I was in this space like a couple of weeks ago, I was in the void, let's say. My doula's like, you're in the void. And I'm like, okay, because I was just having all this like fear and like safety stuff come up, and I'm pretty blasé with safety generally. Like I've traveled through India by myself, like on local bus and everything, and I was like, I'll be fine, I trust the universe. Like maybe in hindsight now that was like a little bit too far that way, like when I learn things, but it's not generally a thing I have problem with, is like trust. But I realized I was like going through this experience of like, oh my gosh, I don't know, do I trust like what's happening? And I think not choosing a medical route where you don't have like a regular check-in with like the heartbeat and those sorts of things, it is jarring. But I also said to myself, like, if that's like I really feel like I need at some point in time, like I'm not going to stop myself doing that to be like petulant that I must only do the wild free birthing thing. Which I think is important to be grounded in that, like you were saying, but it's like being able to discern, am I just in my head right now, or is something actually truly wrong? But I heard someone yesterday, I was at a pregnancy like student clinic for Zentai, and one of the ladies shared that her friend or her doctor had said the baby needs to be moving every 4 hours, like at this point. And if it's not moving, if you've timed it and it hasn't moved, then you should drink an icy cold glass of water and jump up and down for 5 minutes until you feel the baby moving. I was like, are you joking? Like, that's what people think is normal? What? Every 4 hours? Like, that was like insane to me. I'm like, that sounds so silly to me. Like, what? Wouldn't I don't know. It just was so, but that was like something that was normal, like in her like medical focused or Western focused kind of like mindset of that. And I was like, don't you think that sounds really like weird, that that's like what you've got to do to make yourself feel okay, like, and safe, that the baby's okay, like every 4 hours to have an icy cold glass of water if you haven't felt the baby. Anyway, I was just off my tangent there, but like it's funny things. It's like this whole aspect of trust and trusting, like,
I think
go.
I was just gonna say, I actually love that you've brought that up, because what you're already teaching the mother is that she needs outside validation to say that her child is okay. This child that is within her, right?
Someone else knows better.
Yeah, that somebody else knows better. Yeah, and I think that's the real issue there. It's not, and yes, drinking an icy cold water is really can sometimes help. But even just the idea that the 4 hours, like this baby, this human being is actually going to stick to some sort of schedule. That is hilarious, right? Yeah. And again, that's the same, that is the system that we're set up for during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And you can see this is why things start to go, pear-shaped in labor and then in parenting and so on and so on. And how we're conditioned as humans, you know, as children, and then we're conditioned again to kind of stick to this idea that we're meant to fit into this box, this 4 hour, you know.
Or whatever sleep schedule or movement schedule it is, you know. How can every person, every baby be the same? Like, I don't look the same as you. Like, my DNA's it's just that was insane to me hearing I like laughed out loud like so much, like they were like, what? But I was pissing myself laughing. I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. What, your baby in your womb's on a schedule and you need a icy glass of water and to jump up and down to check on it. No, it just was so silly to me. I was like, I don't think I've laughed that hard in the last few weeks, so that was great for me. But when I needed and when I realized, like, you know, all this stuff about trust, it made me come to the conclusion that anyone that's in my birth space needs to fully trust my body, and I need them to affirm that to me, and I need them to trust not just my body but me and my choices, and tell me, like, I trust you, like, you know, you trust you, I trust your body so much that how could I not trust my own body when I'm like having those moments of doubt? That's like my big birth affirmation at this point in time.
I love that. And trusting your baby as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
It
We're
knows.
here together.
We've all done this. This is how we got here.
Oh, yeah, we've done it before. I was a C-section though, so like I haven't had the birth canal experience, but I know in some cultures they don't even have a word for pregnancy. The word for pregnancy is mother baby. It's like, because that's what it is, you know. I think that's so beautiful. So
special.
Obviously you were mentioning about having this energetic practice, or having this practice of like reconnecting with yourself, and Reiki could be one of those amazing tools if it was right for you. I love it. It makes me want to like get back on my Reiki self practice, which I've been a bit slack with. What sort of, like, how do you, I mean, when I learned Reiki, I didn't do that much with crystals. Is that more like a different level of Reiki, or like how do you incorporate it in the way that people work with crystals, whether it's like in the birth space or whether it's just with their own self-healing?
So for me, crystals and Reiki have always gone together. It's like, never not kind of use them together, but I think they're really beautiful on their own as well. Mm-hmm. Like they're really beautiful modalities on their own, and together I feel like it's just an amplification, like of, and then, you know, really enhances any kind of intention that I think just keeping that in mind, that we're not just, you know, and I always say this to my students, like, if you're practicing Reiki on yourself or someone, you're not just chucking on crystals, you know, for the sake of it. It's not like, oh, we'll just put crystals on and whatever, but it's really setting an intention, like, why am I using all of these crystals? Because just one is really powerful. I mean, you know how powerful just one crystal can be. So like, believe in that and trust in that you don't need to have lots as well. It's more about the believing in the power and trusting in the power and working with just the power of one, and having a really strong intention with that, and bringing those, and you can have more than one, but again, making sure the energy of everything that you're using in one particular practice is working together nicely.
Love it.
Because again, thinking about, you don't want two polarizing kind of energies trying to do something, like, it doesn't they're kind of going to work against one another. So making sure that whatever you're bringing in is in harmony and going to work, like, complement each other. And the beautiful thing with Reiki there is that it complements anything. So just as a modality itself, there's no worry or concern about, oh, is Reiki going to be polarizing against this particular modality? It just doesn't exist. And I think that's why so many practitioners also of one modality will learn Reiki, because it's like, it just goes with everything, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
Um,
have crystals at your birth?
yeah.
What did you have?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember both of them, but I think that I've actually got a blog on my website. One is crystals for fertility, and then there's crystals for pregnancy as well. And I go through different ones in there. And those were from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I had a lot of back pain. So I actually had I was using lapis lazuli for my back pain. Also, I really felt like that was going to help me trust in that inner wisdom.
Yeah.
Like stay, because you've got to stay in the zone, right? Like you've got to stay in there and not let stuff kind of get into your field. There's no space for it when you're in labor. It's like I've got to be so focused and connected in this particular moment. So it was like, what crystals are going to really help me with that? So for me, it was lapis. I think I had some stuff for safety, like protection, things like that to stay in my body as well. So probably I think I had jasper because I really love jasper. Yeah, I had some beautiful.
I feel like jasper connects to the womb in its own ways as well. Yeah.
So beautiful, so beautiful. Carnelian, and pretty sure I had some green aventurine there as well. Yeah.
Carnelian's been was my conception crystal. So much carnelian. It's so magical though. Like it works like very quickly, I feel. I remember when people would come into Crystal Universe and they'd be like, fertility would be like carnelian egg straight away.
Yeah, carnelian
egg. No question. Anything else on top of that is fine, but carnelian egg.
Carnelian egg, yeah, so beautiful. Really, really helps. I think they're probably it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I have some fun questions for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know your sun, moon, and rising star signs?
I do. I'm triple air. So all air. So I am a Libra.
I had a feeling, and I was feeling like this Virgo and like Sagittarius energy from you as well. So I was like, what is she like? But I feel like maybe I remembered you're a Libra. Triple.
I have quite a bit of Sag in my chart actually, but I am also a Aquarius moon and a Gemini rising.
My mum is like almost the same as you. She's an Aquarius with a Libra moon and a Gemini rising or something like that.
Wow, she must be fabulous.
She's definitely airy. It's great. As soon as you realize that, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, right? It's like, oh yeah.
No wonder you're so connected to the ether.
Yes. Yeah,
do you know your human design?
I do. I am a manifesting generator.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm a 1-3, if anyone's there. Yeah, cool. Yeah, into the lines. What about you?
I'm a projector 4-6.
Oh, beautiful.
4-6 is like the royal complex one. Like bow before me. No.
Love it.
Mate, that also fits in with I've got a Leo in Jupiter, which is a similar sort of energy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so, when you look into the charts, like it all just makes so much.
Totally. Yes. I feel like human design is a lot about how you like navigate life and like how you bring abundance and those sorts of things in. So that's probably why I think of like the Jupiter aspect in astrology with it. Yeah. What's your favorite fruit?
Strawberries.
Yum. We've been getting such good strawberries up here on the coast. Alex and I've been eating 1 kilo every Sunday each.
Oh, so easy. They're amazing. They have to be like sweet, the real deal.
I like sweet enough, and then you just have like a couple like really sweet ones in there. You're like, oh, it's a really good one.
Like a surprise.
Literally. If you could return to a moment in your life and re-experience it again, what moment would you go back to?
Probably my wedding day.
I was like, it's
Even
probably gonna be birth or wedding
It
day.
yeah. It would probably be either birth or I mean birth was so empowering. I felt like
Yeah.
yeah, felt amazing. And my wedding day, just the opportunity. We semi-eloped. We went to Italy and got married and but with some friends and family and I just loved again I love and it was just so beautiful to be able to share my love with
Oh,
everyone that I love. So yeah, it was
oh,
really,
yeah. The
yeah,
reveling in love. I love it. That
yeah.
sounds beautiful. Forest or the ocean?
Ocean,
What plant or flower do you work with the most?
rose.
Beautiful. Yes, very rosy. And what's your favorite crystal? How do you pick?
Rose quartz.
Rose quartz. Yeah. It's just the
Yeah,
old favorite.
old favorite, old school, always there, always reliable.
Yeah, yeah. I've come to
Whatever.
realize, yeah, I've come to
Yeah.
realize my favorite is smoky quartz. Like I just
Oh,
can't get away. Like if there's a smoky quartz there, like doesn't matter whatever else is there. Like I'll be at the smoky quartz.
yeah. Oh, so nice. I'm such a snob with smoky quartz. It
Oh, it
has to
has to be
be
good.
dark.
Yeah.
It has to be dark and good. Yeah.
But if it's good, you can't tear me away.
Really good. Really good.
If you're an animal, what would you be?
Oh, wow. I want to say tiger, but I don't think so. I just love tigers, though.
I could see you as a tiger. I think you got a bit of fire in you.
Maybe like, some kind of like snow leopard thing or something.
Mm.
They look so cozy, I think.
Yeah. Bit of a snow leopard, bit of a polar bear, like one or the
Yeah.
other. Big fierce mama energy.
Yes.
Is there any last words or summations you wanted to leave the listeners with before we let them know how they can work with you, get in touch with you?
I just think I'd like to say that it's really important that everyone has a frequent practice that reminds them how fucking awesome they are.
Yes.
That's what I want to say. Yeah. And people can get in touch. My Instagram is Nourished Energy and website nourishederenergy.com.au.
Amazing. And you offer trainings, you offer one-on-one sessions, you have a few little courses as well.
Different courses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have my dream for Nourished Energy is really to be able to support light workers to really be the best that they can be. So not only Reiki training, there's crystal healing training, and I also have another course called Holistic Soul Coaching to really help light workers have more impactful and purposeful consultations with their clients as well. So I bring all of that into it. And I've got a heap of digital self kind of courses that people can do as well on the website.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all this beautiful, giggly, heart-opening conversation today, Loretta.
So much, Kristen. It's so nice to talk to you and reconnect with you.
Yeah, so good.
I've loved it.